Powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Steven, I just found out in the studio, it doesn't surprise me about Garrett because he's quite tall, but Jack as well. They have both dunked a ball on a regulation rim in their life, a feeling that I will never have. I mean, certainly, when I was a kid, my friends and I got in a lot of trouble, too. We brought out a ladder and just jumped off and dunked it. Or when, one of my friends got the ones you could move up and down, move it down to 8 feet, pretend like you're Dominique Wilkins and call it a day. But they've both legitimately dunked a basketball in their life, and I'm jealous because that's something I was never going to be able to do.
Yeah, me either. How tall is Jack? I guess I knew Jack's tall.
Jack's like 6'1".
In the basketball shoes, yeah.
Yeah, so he's 6'1".
How tall is Garrett?
Garrett's 6'4"? Like 11 feet tall.
6'4".
Yeah. So, yeah, Garrett's
Garrett's from a
very
an
long
athletic
arms.
town.
Yeah.
I know it's a college football podcast, but the Oglesby Tigers are ranked second in six-man football right now. Garrett Ross is from a very athletic lineage.
Yeah. So, look, basketball on grass for the six-man football and basketball on wood. Yeah. Good at both of them. All right, Steven, so yesterday there was an internet rumor that was like, look, Michigan State has the people that want to get this done. Urban Meyer has emerged, and he'll interview for the job. Tom Fornelli, who's a national college football writer, said, oh, yes, believe the one guy who has none of these contacts in his phone of age, like one of the big-name interviews. And here's why it's funny when I believe that Urban Meyer is, especially after the documentary, is trying to grease the skids for a new coaching job. I absolutely believe that because he doesn't want to go out how it happened in Jacksonville. Because the last memory you have of Urban Meyer is him kicking his kicker and whatever he was doing in his bar in Columbus, and Trevor Lawrence, like ostensibly like the nicest kid in the world, just hating this person. So like all that, he doesn't want to go out that way. He does not want to go out that way. And so I think the documentary was a huge part of like, hey, listen, remember all the cool things I did? Forget about.
Yeah, I was good once. You guys remember that?
Yeah. I've won 3 national titles. I can help your program. Here's why. And it would kind of prove, they brought back Mark D'Antonio as an advisor after they fired him for the exact same thing that they fired Mel Tucker for. Here's why it would be the most Michigan State thing ever to be like, all right, guys, we got to fix this program. Obviously, we have people that are willing to step up and pay so we can get a big-name coach. Let's start throwing names out there, and then somebody goes, all right, hear me out. Urban Meyer. And then they don't go, here's the deal. We've just fired 2 coaches in a row because of scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Urban Meyer is a walking scandal, although he somehow manages to stay just on the outside of it.
Right.
But how could you, if you're Michigan State or a Michigan State fan, be like, oh, well, the only person who cleaned this place up is the dirtiest coach in college football?
Yeah, not exactly taking the spotlight off you for sure. And also it's just strange because, I know Urban has been in football recently, so there's still a path for him to obviously step in, but it has been a little while. Like the sport has changed a lot since he was last at Ohio State with NIL and the transfer portal and everything else. So that's part of it too. It's like there's plenty of up and coming good coaches. Michigan State's a good job. Why is your first thought? I get it. Urban Meyer's a really good coach, but as you laid out really well there, if you're trying to distance yourself from a sexual harassment scandal, this is not the first person to call. Like there's a long list of people that don't have anything like that in their past. And, Urban's history doesn't suggest that this would be a good thing at all. But this is, as you said, this is college football. His name is always going to come up for big jobs like this.
Yeah. I saw Bud Elliott mention that it's the new Bob Stoops rumor. That like, oh yeah, they're calling Bob Stoops. FSU was good. Bob Stoops. That's who they were going to call. They got to get Bob Stoops
at practice or whatever.
Yeah, he was at I mean, he might have been, but he wasn't there interviewing, like all that Urban. And look, here's the deal. Urban Meyer is going to travel around the country with Fox because he did it before with ESPN, where he took his year between Ohio State and Florida, worked for ESPN, and essentially would like walk into places and interview for jobs. So, not necessarily, but like throw it out there like, hey, I certainly enjoy the campus here at so-and-so university. I would love to
coach it one time.
Yeah.
Just saying. Like, this is a lovely campus. You have wonderful people in charge
who I hear have deep pockets. I would like to meet those people and shake their hand just as a common courtesy that you do when we are at all these places on a Wednesday. Like that's what he was doing. And I he's going to pop up for Michigan State, and then there's going to be some schools that get desperate, right? And then they're going to say, I don't care about any of the other stuff. Let's just go hire Urban Meyer because we know he's going to win. Which, look, if you do hire Urban Meyer, he is going to win because there is no line he will not cross. So. Well,
and let me ask you this. I know this is a different situation because it seems like it's just one person being like, hey, I'll report this and I'll get some clicks. But is this Urban, like, is this Urban's team being like, hey, maybe we'd like this. And then when somebody asks him directly about it, he's like, oh no, I would never consider it. Is this just Urban making himself available? Because like you said, when he was at ESPN, he would do that. And Mike Gundy kind of did this. Like, Mike was just a guy that was like, yeah, I'd like to take a private flight somewhere and maybe eat a nice dinner and talk to somebody about a potential job. I don't really want to leave Stillwater, but if you're going to put me in a jet, like, yeah, that seems like an experience I'd like to have. So I'll take a cross-country flight and have dinner with a few people. Do you feel like Urban is driving the so-called rumors and interests that are happening?
He might have not done this one, but now that it's out there, it would not surprise me to see like what could happen, because Michigan State would be crazy. Like, Larry Nassar University would be crazy to hire Urban Meyer. Would be crazy to do it because you cannot justify away everything. Well, that was my assistant coach doing that. It wasn't me. Well, that was the players. It wasn't me. Like, none of this was me. I just happened to be here and be in charge of bringing all these people in here and paying them or coaching them. But they make their own decisions, was kind of Urban Meyer's deal. And part of the reason I think you saw, like, the thing in the documentary that stuck out to me about Urban trying to get back on that was they were talking about a player that he kicked off the team that died of a drug overdose. And Urban was so convinced that was totally his fault that he took football away from him. That's why he would never kick a player off the team again. Yet, 2 years after that, he kicked Cam Newton off the team. So I don't know. I think Cam Newton got kicked off the team not because he stole a laptop, but because Cam Newton's ego was so gigantic that Urban couldn't deal with it. That's why I think it happened. That's my personal theory. Not to justify Cam Newton stealing someone's laptop, but based on the crimes committed by the players on that Florida team, laptop theft is low on the totem pole.
Yeah, it's not at the top. Do you get the sense that Urban is a guy that would, I mean, like Cal is a bad example because they don't have the pockets, but I'm just saying, do you feel like there's 5 or 10 jobs that he's got a piece of paper that he's like, okay, these are the ones that if they come open, I'm going? Or does he get to a point where he's so ready to get back in the game that he leaves the cushy TV job and is like, yeah, if things went south at Mizzou and all of a sudden they called me, I'll pack up and go there just because I want to coach again.
No, I think if what happened with Jim Tressel didn't happen at Ohio State, he may never have gotten that job. It might be somebody it honestly might be Luke Fickell at this point because he was in the Tressel tree, right? He played for Tressel. Like, Luke Fickell might be the coach at Ohio State right now because Tressel would probably be retired and Fickell would have been like the guy that they brought on, the Ryan Day, so to speak, to Jim Tressel. So that to me, and because he was the interim, Luke Fickell was the interim that year that they had to let Tressel go. And the one bad year in Ohio State football in like the last 50 as well. That's how good they've been. There's a reason that when he left Florida for whatever reasons those were, health problems and all the stuff that was going on with him, that when Ohio State came open, that and his connection to Earl Bruce and all that he made a beeline for that job. Like, he's going to pick, like, it would have to be a Notre Dame, Florida again. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. It's got to be a team that has the resources for him to compete at the level he wants to compete at, that he doesn't have to convince to do it. So it wouldn't be a Mizzou where he'd have to go in there and build them up, because he's not going to stay anywhere very long anymore. Like, it would be like a 5 to 7 year hitch. Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can do what I did at Florida, win a national title in the first couple years, and let's see where it's at after that. That's what he would want to do. So with the portal, you can certainly do it a lot better now, but it would have to be a school that is ready to pay him $10 million a year, spend another $10 million in NIL over a couple years, all those things to make sure he got what he wanted. So I think that list is limited, and there's places that would never hire him in a million years. Like, Jim Harbaugh goes to the NFL next year. Michigan's not going to call up Urban Meyer. That's not, there's no way. They could not sell that. They could not sell that to their fans at all. So, but it is strange. Like, Michigan State, though, they are in that spot, right, where the Big Ten's about to get really huge. And the 4 teams they brought in, like, the difference between the Big Ten and the Big 12, both bringing in 4 Pac-12 teams, is one of the teams in the Pac-12 is the 2-time defending champion, is going to the Big 12. But the other teams that are going into the Big 12, Colorado's good now, but Arizona and Arizona State have been a mess for a long time. And then Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA are all good right now. So Michigan State could theoretically react by going, yeah, we've got to get whoever we can, but they can't. I mean, it would be the most Michigan State thing ever to be like, yeah, I didn't even notice what went on before. What's all that? Was all their people. That was Urban. He's a bastion of goodness and hope. I don't think they can sell that to their people. Now, there are a lot of other coaches that they may take a big swing at, because clearly, look, Mel Tucker was you saw the numbers yesterday, Stephen. He was the 5th highest paid coach in the country. They're waiting.
Yeah, I mean, they rushed to pay him. It was like, oh, one good season, here you go, buddy. Here's a new contract. And you're right. Like, Michigan State is one of those teams. Like, it's a big brand, but they're one of those teams that you do wonder, like, okay, if somebody kind of gets lost in the shuffle here, you already had a program that was sort of middling, and then this situation with Tucker happens, and so now you're having to basically start from scratch again. It could go one of two ways, and so it's a very pivotal hire. So, yeah, I understand why they're after all the big names, but Urban Meyer just can't be the guy.
No. And again, are you looking for long-term success or, kind of a rocket ship before you have more problems? Because Michigan State cannot afford more problems. They just can't. All right, Stephen, enjoy. I know you're headed out of town right after this. Thanks for taking the time to hop on before you left. And we will talk to you again next week, and we'll see. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit better than you were this week.
Thank you, Paul. If they lose to Iowa State, I probably won't be here. So good luck to everybody.
Well, just Stephen, like, he's on Zoom, but he's just laying on the floor. He just kind of like rolls over on his side to look at me when I ask him a question, like, hey, how do you feel about Colorado after last week? Yeah, whatever.
We lost to Matt Campbell after he was good, so I can't talk about anything.
Yeah. All right, Stephen, thank you so much. Big show today. We've got Tim Brando, we've got Mac Rhodes. Who else do we have today? Scott Drew today. Joey McGuire, for crying out loud. So tons of great guests on the big show this afternoon, 365 Sports. That comes up in an hour at 3 o'clock. Stephen, have a good one. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.